In life, you need things to look forward to and be excited about. And for me this week, I've been looking forward to the fact that we get to review Amazing Spider-Man number 50 on this here podcast. Now, after we do the introductions, you'll find out whether or not I am still happy about that. But needless to say, it's a huge week. We've got Cale,
What's up, hot dogs?
Tyler,
Hey guys.
and I'm Sean, and we have to talk about
Count them.
six of this week's biggest releases. This is a massive week for comics, another banger week. We've got the aforementioned Amazing Spider-Man 50, Blood Hunt number 2, Fall of the House of X number 5,
Whoa.
Ultimate Black Panther number 4, the listener pick of the week, Wonder Woman number 9. You fuckers did it again. And of course, Rook Exodus number 2. So we've got a hot list of books here on tap today. A lot of Marvel stuff. This is a big week for Marvel. They came out swinging. And of course, we've got you all. Thank you for joining us, whether you are listening live or in the future. Appreciate you hanging out. Let's jump right into Amazing Spider-Man number 50. It's a Spider-Man 50, which is huge, but it's legacy number 944. So what that means is that in another 50 plus issues, we're going to be doing yet another big celebration for Spider-Man. Even though I thought we already had Spider-Man 1000.
Didn't we have Spider-Man 1000?
They probably put together all the Spider-Man books that have ever come out, but this is legacy 944. So
Amazing Spider-Man.
right, not Spider-Man.
Right.
Yeah. So, Marvel's always going to figure out a way to get their anniversary off somehow, some way. They're always going to figure out a way to charge you $9.99 for a comic.
I saw that physically because I went to the shop this week. Big surprise. And I was like, oh, this is $9.99 before I got it digitally. And I'm like,
It's bad. It's real bad. Not happy about it.
And,
go ahead.
I was just saying, and after reading it, I'm not sure it justifies the cost either.
All right, well, we'll get into that. Hello, what's up to James Jones? What's up, Fanalations? Justin, Izzy, see you all. Glad to see you guys. Gavin, what's up? Average Comics Joe. Love that you guys show up for this show. Let's not waste any more of your time. Zeb Wells on the words. Ed McGinn is back on the pencils. Very happy to see that. Love that.
Commentary on the art, because boy.
Mark Farmer on the inks. Marcio Menez with Eric Arciniega on colors and Joe Caramagna on letters. So if you've missed a few issues of Amazing Spider-Man,
I have.
then good for you.
Okay, great.
Because the last few haven't been fantastic. They have been sort of seeding to get to this place, but I feel like the buildup to this issue has been a little bit here, a little bit there. It's not really like a straight line. But ultimately, this is the issue where all the dominoes are falling. The living brain has been at play, and there's been all this stuff going on with him, all this drama, and that now gets resolved. We've had the overarching story of, is Norman trustworthy or not? Can Peter really let his guard down and accept that Norman is just a good guy? And, in this issue, unfortunately, we get the come down. We get the big battle between Norman and Peter. They suit up again. They go to war again. And Zeb Wells manages to make me care about that battle, but definitely not as much as I thought I would.
Sean, have you been reading weekly, or you did a catch up here for this?
I was behind 2 issues.
Okay. Because I feel like it still came out of nowhere. Like, it was seeded, but the last time we got like real direct references to Norman possibly, going bad again was that whole Craven arc, which was like in the fall. And since then, it's kind of been doing little stories here and there. It had gang war that we had to deal with, and then it had uh, the Goblin Queen thing with Chasm and Hallows Eve and the Winkler device. But like, it felt like the time between the last seed they gave us and now was too long.
Well, the last seed they gave us was 2 issues ago, I think,
The
because
Winkler
that
device
was
thing?
yeah.
Sure, but it wasn't a Norman seed as much as like it was a seed that something's going on. But like the whole Norman was kind of absent for a bit.
Yeah.
So I felt like the shoe dropped suddenly, I think.
I don't know. I haven't I cherry picked the issues based on, what basically what we've been reading, but I don't know, like I'm here for this goblin stuff because this other shoe's gonna drop. The last thing I saw was Norman inject himself with the sins or whatever. And I went, oh, that dude gonna turn. And now he's turning. So uh, I got what I needed.
I just think that like if gang war hadn't happened and we could have just spent more time with these people, then this turn would have felt a little bit more. It's earned. It's certainly earned. It's been building for a long time, but it
Yeah.
just would have felt more connected to what the book has been doing for the last few months. It's like, oh, it's time to get into this. It's 50. We got to do it. But we also had to do these other things. Even the very last issue was a tie in to Blood Hunt. So it doesn't ever get to come back to this. It doesn't center Norman at any point. So I found that frustrating. But I also wasn't in love with the dialogue. I you know, these are two characters who have such a rich history with each other and such a violence for each other. And the dialogue just felt like Peter was sort of fighting anybody. And it felt like this was just another encounter between these two. It was very jokey. It just didn't have that bloodthirst to it that I would anticipate from literal mortal enemies.
Do you think it's because there's that added wrinkle that it's not technically Norman he's fighting as much as the goblin, the essence of the goblin?
I just don't like. I feel like once you get into all that type of stuff, it's like it's too silly to think about all that. Like, I get that the goblin is a separate personality from Norman, but it is inhabiting Norman. And when Peter had it in him, he was Peter, but he was the goblin. And so when Norman has this in him, he is, I mean, we've seen this since time immemorial. You can't sell me on the idea that when the sins are inside of Norman, now it's just the goblin. I just can't, that I can't work with that.
And it's very unclear too. I found when we're talking to the goblin, I was sort of confused at first as to like who the goblin is talking about versus who Peter is talking to. And it's I know it's basic visual language stuff, but it's also like it wasn't as straightforward as it could have been.
Mm.
Like if Norman and the goblin are two separate people, then if the goblin if Norman has the goblin in him, he should just be the goblin.
What do you mean?
So, when he's Norman and he's Gold Goblin, right? And he's a hero and he's not possessed or whatever. He's Norman. But when he's possessed, he should just be the Green Goblin, the Batman Bruce Wayne dichotomy. He's
Sure.
always Batman, he's always whatever. That's what Norman and the Green Goblin should be to me.
It's tough because they're sort of trying to, in my mind, it's not like I've read absolutely every single Green Goblin story, but I've read a lot of them. It feels like they're trying to redefine what that relationship is because they took the sins out of him. But and obviously the goblin serum and everything else. But for the entire period before this time, it's been understood that, yes, he has this evil in him, but it's something that is in him always. He can't, it's not partitioned in that
Yeah.
way. It's not like Zurinar to Bruce Wayne, which I think is an even more apt comparison. It's not a
Yeah.
it's not a hidden personality, it's integrated into his personality. He's
It
not in
changes
control.
him.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not like, I mean, we'll talk about it when we talk about X-Men, about, somebody have a segmented part of their brain that can just be absolved of sin. But the fact that, like, he is the Goblin because he takes it becomes one of them. Yeah, I'm not sure. He injected himself with his sins again? Is that what it
He
was?
had he had to take because Peter had them and he had to
Yeah,
take
it was
them
like a
from Peter.
ghost that got into him, right?
Whatever it was. Yeah.
No, it was great. It was great. It was green liquid.
It's always green liquid.
And I don't even hate the idea that that can be exercised. And so, comic booky way, they figure out how to put it back in him. That's kind of cool. But it's this separation in the moment that just doesn't work.
Right. Like he's not Harvey Dent. That's a very specific thing that Harvey Two-Face has going on. And
Yeah.
so this feels to me like a redefinition of what Norman / Green Goblin is to fit what Zeb Wells is trying to do. And for me, that didn't really work. What worked absolutely though was the incredible, what I thought was incredible artwork. I really love Ed McGuinness, and every time he comes on this book, it's just such a treat, and this issue was no exception. He draws a freaking phenomenal Green Goblin to me.
I don't think I've ever seen him do Green Goblin before. This feels new. And Green Goblin feels goblin-y in this. You know what I mean? Like the way his posture is throughout the whole thing. Like his shoulders are always above his head. He's like hunched over. He's almost Gollum-esque in the way he moves around. And I really like that, as opposed to just a guy wearing a goblin costume. Like the body language significantly changes, especially compared to Norman. I thought McGinnis was great. I mean, Gavin in the chat, Sean, mentioned this is the best McGinnis since it's Hulk stuff. And I know you don't care much for that Hulk stuff.
The art, no, I care
But the
about
art is good.
Art,
Yeah.
art was good. I care about the story. No, I completely agree.
I absolutely love this. Not that page. This page.
Yeah.
I thought that laughter in the background was, I mean, that's another level. I don't
Go
know
ahead
if
and
we've
describe the
ever.
page.
So it's a double spread with the goblin about to throw a pumpkin bomb at Peter, and in the background of each image it's got 4 panels, I think, behind the goblin, and everywhere the goblin is sort of in control, there's laughter in the lettering and in the background behind him.
Sick.
It's incredible. I don't know if I've ever seen anything like that with the Green Goblin, because I don't think he's associated with his laughter enough.
It's a Joker thing.
Yeah, but I think Mark Hamill should maybe do the Green Goblin.
Well, dude, even the dialogue, Peter's, monologue or inner monologue here, he says that laugh, it's the same, it's always the same. And behind him, while he's putting his mask on, you just see this torrent of ha ha ha's behind him. And it's such an effective tool. And then, Peter goes on, not just laughing at me. Like, imagine that. Like someone is menacing you to this degree, and while he's doing it, while he's throwing pumpkin bombs at you, while he's kicking your ass, he's laughing hysterically at you.
And the thing with the color too is as the fight progresses, it becomes more and more dominated by the text, but with the greens and purples too, until you get
Yeah.
that page of Spider-Goblin, I guess, or whatever the hell they're gonna call him, or Peter's infected, and there's all of that green and purple behind him. I really like how that slowly infected the pages as Peter was getting infected throughout this.
Yeah.
Were you hearing Defoe's face when you were reading Norman? I mean, were you hearing his voice, not hearing his face?
It's all Mark Hamill for me, man.
Really interesting.
I couldn't not hear it.
Yeah, I'm full Willem Dafoe when I see
Yeah,
Norman.
it's rare that I hear voices when reading, but this is one occasion when I couldn't not hear Defoe's voice.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean all this stuff looks phenomenal, right? Like it's all great. Some of the best Ed McGuinness, like we said earlier, and just some of the best that this book has looked in a while. It's no shade on Junior, and I do enjoy some of the stuff that he's done, but McGuinness just feels like the right guy for this run. But there's the living brain aspect to this as well, which the living brain is this massive, massive brain. And, they've been told, Kurt Connors and the other scientists have been told, keep this fucker off the internet. Because if he gets access to, the wide web and everything else, it's going to be a bad time for us. But so things go left, and now the living brain is the walking brain, or whatever he called himself. He's got a body now. He forged a body for himself. And he keeps spitting out, Peter Parker is not Spider-Man. Keeps saying that. And so no one really knows what the hell that's supposed to mean. Why would he be saying this? And I guess the idea is that, of course, big spoiler. If you don't want spoilers for this, you're going to want to jump ahead. But ultimately, Peter is goblinized. I mean, the spoilers in the freaking title. Forget about it. But Peter's goblinized. And so he's like the spider goblin now. And I guess the idea is that the living brain was talking about that. But so what? That it felt like a page space being dedicated to something that's irrelevant.
Well, Wells has been seeding the Living Brain since the beginning of his run as like a character he's trying to do something with.
Yeah.
And Living Brain, I think, been around for a while. Last time it was used in like Superior Foes of Spider-Man before this, and like I like that I think he's writing the brain in a way that he can predict things through data alone, and he knew this would happen to Peter, and just didn't have a way of telling it people. Instead, he has this Willy Wonka-esque dot matrix printout. But now he's evolved, and now he's turning into something else. I wouldn't be surprised if he evolves again by the time Zeb Wells is done with this run to become a new character in some way. It seems like one of those like pet characters, like like Jason Aaron has the orb. Like Zeb Wells just seems to like the living brain and just wants to do something with them, which I don't mind.
Nick Spencer and Boomerang.
So, what do you guys feel about the big to-do of this issue that now, Peter is goblinized?
I mean, we saw it last year in a way, not fully. I mean, I think by the judging by the next two covers, he gets a new costume. But I don't know. I just like this run, and I like Spider-Man as a book. That even though it seems like a well-worn gimmick, I'll stick around and see it. I love a Green Goblin story, no matter what. Maybe since past I'll avoid, but yeah, I'm in for the ride.
You shouldn't. That's a good story. I think it makes sense that Peter has spent so much time as Norman's protege, quote unquote, good Norman's protege. It makes a degree of sense that he would want to, that Wells would want to explore Peter being the Goblin's protege. I just don't know how interested in that I am personally, especially since we sort of already saw that. That was kind of, I think that like Sean was saying earlier, I think I was kind of hoping for straightforward, life ruining, you know, arch rival, arch nemesis, good guy, bad guy shit.
Yeah, this just doesn't feel like it needs the shenanigan. We got some of that. It was kind of fun, for the few issues that it lasted where Peter was bad. It gave me very much symbiote Spider-Man vibes, and I was all for it. But now we're going full bore with that. Okay, so who is going to be the protagonist of the series now? How is that gonna play out? Is the living brain gonna step up and sort of become a hero to try to help bring Peter back to himself? Or are we in for a situation where for a beat this becomes like a superior Spider-Man type of thing where, it's just radically different in that way? Where do we go?
I mean, if we're considering this, do we? I don't know if we have confirmation of it, but the final beat for Zeb Wells' Spider-Man run, um, it kind of has a good parallel to the beginning of the story with the Gold Goblin and Peter having to teach Norman how to be a hero. Now the reverse is happening. Norman's teaching him how to be a villain, like Cale said. It's like a protege situation.
Like poetry.
And then the idea, yeah, George
Right.
Lucas, the idea of like Norman couldn't escape who he was, and even if when he tried to be a hero, he couldn't. He would eventually become a villain. If the polar opposite happens with Spider-Man, it's like even if Spider-Man is trying to be a villain, he can't do it because that's not who he is, and that slowly shows through. I can see that being the story, and that's interesting to me if done well. And with Ed
Well, we've
McGuinness
seen
art,
it.
that definitely helps.
But we've seen it. And recently. It's not like we've seen it in a different arc. Like we've a different by a different writer or whatever. Like we've seen Peter be a bad guy. And he was a bad guy.
The black suit thing where he was
Yeah.
messing up Paul. That's what he needs to do. That's how you can make this arc good for me.
But
Spider.
that's the thing is
Yeah.
like he did it, and the only reason that he got snapped out of it was because, if I remember correctly, was because of Norman's actions. Norman saved him. Okay, so that has nothing to do with Peter's heroism. It has to do with Norman's sacrifice. What is the Peter story? Like, can we get to that? Like, where is that at?
Yeah. I think the only other dangling thread there is Craven and this, spear of destiny or whatever the fuck.
And we know he's showing up soon because his movie's not out yet.
Gotta make him
Yeah.
a hero. Ooh, I hate that. Didn't even think of that.
And his movie
The
was
art-
supposed to come out in November or August or something, so that can line up. It got delayed, but oh boy.
The art really carries this story for me. And there are some good bits of Zeb Wells dialogue peppered throughout. I'm concerned about the future of this book, but I've loved it pretty much every step of the way. So I'm definitely still on the hook. What I am not happy about at all is everything that happens after the main story ends. Because this issue is $9.99 and it justifies that price point by including multiple backup stories. I don't want to linger on these because there are quite a few and there's just no need. There was one that I thought was solid, which was the Time to Make the Donuts one by
Same.
Nikesh Shukla on the words, Chris Cross on the art, Andrew Dahlhaus on the colors, and Joe Caramagna on the letters. This one was pretty good. It's a very simple story about Peter stopping at a donut food truck, and then goes and does that dude a favor by checking in on his mom or grandma or whatever, and then she teaches Peter he needs to slow down and do things for himself, and she makes him some food, teaches him how to cook, whatever. It was really well written. I thought that the writing was good. He managed to inject some really like some bits that felt different and sort of unique to Spider-Man. But it also just felt like really appropriate and an understanding of who Peter is. Peter is actually a guy that doesn't do a lot for himself. And I don't think that's something we ever really talk about. Most of the time, people bash Peter for being selfish. We know he's not, but we never see him do anything for himself. So it was nice to see a writer address that. And I just thought some of the dialogue was poignant. I liked the story quite a bit.
Yeah, I did too. I think writing wise, that one was my favorite. I also really liked the Lee Gatlin one, mostly for the art. I thought that, the story itself was it's a silly little romp, but Lee Gatlin is one of those people that you're not gonna see in a normal Spider-Man book. So it's cool to see, a couple of pages done by them in that specific style.
Yeah, the Lee Gatlin stuff was cool, even though it was a thing story, which I was fine with. But I did like the Donuts one a lot. Just that one bit that they wrote in the Donut story about how food is a time machine, and how if you can enjoy food for it being food, you can literally just forget about everything else. In that one moment, you just live in the moment. And I thought that was really well done for a comic where they're not even really drawing the food. It's mostly two people talking. Yeah, I had fun with that. Yeah, I'm not the biggest on backups, but the two you both shouted out are the ones that stuck out to me.
Yeah, I really, really wish I could have saved a couple dollars and not had all these backups. Especially because to me, truthfully, if we're being really honest, this doesn't feel like a special issue. It's issue 50 for Spider-Man. Like, it's not Miles. Like, I'd love to see that. This is Peter Parker Spider-Man, Legacy issue 944. Like, can we please not? Are they going to do 952? Are they going to do that?
Oh, yeah. How many 50s have there been
Right.
of any given Peter Parker or Spider-Man title?
Yeah.
If anything, it should be an anniversary of Zeb Wells' 50th issue and have more Zeb Wells in it.
What I imagine, well, yeah. And I imagine that's the idea, but you're right. Like, it should have more Zeb Wells. So therefore, maybe it should just be a full Zeb Wells issue.
It should honor that issue 1 with Spider-Man stanky leg on the cover.
No. I'm gonna say pull because I still really am interested in the story that Zeb's telling. He gets enough right here to keep me on the hook, and the art is fantastic. The $10 price point though is prohibitive. If you are not very, very concerned with reading this specific issue, and you want to save some bucks, you can just listen to everything that we told you and move on with your life until 51. I don't like to dissuade people from buying comics, but $10 is a lot of money. So,
for the content, it's a pull, but I'm with you. That $10 is like, yikes.
Yeah, for the main issue of the story, I gotta say, probably my pick of the week. That
shoot.
That Goblin page that I held up, like, that got a pop out of me, man.
Damn.
I genuinely went out loud. Oh, whoa.
Yeah, this is my pick of the week.
I think
too.
I'm with
Oh,
you, actually.
Shit.
Yeah.
Huh.
Thank you, Ed McGuinness.
Yeah, look.
Wow. Especially because I had just read 48 and 49, and I was like, and then to get Ed McGuinness, it's just like, man, his art is so amazing. Okay, so there you go. Unanimous pick of the week right out the gate, which I feel like happened not that long ago on this show where we had a unanimous pick of the week out the gate.
Was it last week?
Might have been. Yeah, might have even been last week. So I don't know if you want to say that's an indictment on the quality of the rest of the books or this one was just that good. Your mileage may vary, and you will find out if you stay tuned. I do want to hit a couple of the comments because we've neglected the listeners. You guys have been sounding off in the comments section, which I love to see. Let's see. Average Comics Joe says, just finished Cobra Commander, and wow, it really sets a tone for the next chapter of the Energon universe. Yeah, that was good stuff.
Can I shout out a comment here?
Please.
Wait. If you want to hear more about Cobra Commander, we just dropped our interview with Joshua Williamson. We got to talk about him or talk to him about the Energon universe. We dropped that on Wednesday, so go and run those numbers up. It was a great conversation.
Yeah, he's infectious with his enthusiasm for sure. But I wanted to call out Jason Matthews. He commented, "Why do you think Marvel and its creators continue to play with the idea of Peter Parker not being Peter Parker instead of letting the character of Peter encounter challenges, growth, or backslide?" It's a perpetual question. we actually did a whole little video on this that should be in the feed somewhere. It was a membership video that got released to the public about why can't Peter Parker be happy. But the idea of him not being able to be himself is interesting.
So yeah, so the end of that question, being instead of letting the character of Peter encounter challenges, growth, or backslide, well, that's because any growth he has to be reset. Otherwise, how much growth can he have before you have to end it? The first part of that, I think, is what's interesting, because the first part being how they're playing with Peter Parker not being Peter Parker. I think what's interesting about that is sometimes to get a new angle on a character, you have to let them not be that character, or you have to let them, in the case of this, you have to give them an evil version of Peter Parker.
There's some narrative reason why Zeb is choosing to do this. Even though I'm not like completely happy about that, about what is happening, I trust, because I've enjoyed the rest, that this will resolve in a way that is satisfying. But ultimately, I think the reason why Peter is not allowed to be himself or to grow or anything like that is because there's only so many things you can do at this point. You can't throw any more of his girlfriends off bridges. You can't threaten that his aunt's gonna die. You can't kill off his best friend to heroin. Like, there's so many things that they've already done with this character that has existed for almost 70 years or whatever we're at, that there is a limitation. Like, we would have loved to have seen the big Norman Peter war, right? But that's how Dan Slott's run ended, with a big Peter Norman war. And I feel like there's probably a lot of runs you could point to that end in a similar fashion. So maybe Zeb just didn't want to repeat the same beat that gets hit on over and over again.
Yep. Eventually, you're going to repeat something. There's just been so many stories told. I mean, eventually you don't repeat it and you cuck Spider-Man because that's new. But it's just gonna happen. And I would argue, like, even though Peter Parker's becoming a goblin and he's becoming evil again in this, and he's not himself, that's still a challenge for him. And there can still be growth because of that. So even though the path is familiar, it could lead to a different outcome.
And it probably will in some form or fashion. Average Comics Joe, ASM is Marvel's highest selling book month to month. But if you ask around, then you would think this run sucks so bad it should be almost canceled. I love that comment because it's so true. I love this book, and I think that look, people really don't like it, but I don't think that what people say they like or don't like has almost anything to do with what can be popular or what can sell or not sell. Obviously, the book is selling enough that someone loves it, or people are buying it, hating it, but they buy it because it's a part of their habit. Whatever the reason is, this book ain't dropping off.
I also think people just like to hate things. It sounds negative, but some people do. Some people love being haters.
And people love buying things, Sean.
I actually don't. I'm pretty like outside of comics, I don't really buy anything. Um Aaron Ruiz, how did it go from I'm not feeling this issue to pick of the week?
Ed McGuinness art, baby.
Aaron Ruiz is always there to call us out on some bullshit.
I appreciate him. He's a real one. He's a real one. Uncaged says, I'm not a YT algorithm expert, but big channels try to run up the likes early. So smash that like button right now. I am with you on that.
Mash.
We have a whole bunch of you here right now hanging out with us on a Thursday night. I love to see it. Smash the like button if you enjoy what we do. That is a huge way you can help us. Another way you can help us is by heading on over to patreon.com/thecomicspals, where if you support us, we are always returning the favor. We appreciate everybody who hangs out with us on that side of things. Right now, you can vote in the book club poll for the book that you want to be featured for Daredevil month. Head on over there. The options are available. We've got some Bendis, some Brubaker, some Miller. It runs the gamut of some of the greatest Daredevil books of all time. We're going to announce the winner on Saturday. So if you haven't gotten your vote on, head on over there to do that. Watch this show live every Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern, Saturdays for the main show, 10:15 a.m. Eastern. We're going to take a look this week at the state of DC Comics. That's a big conversation to have, but I think it's time. I think it's time to take a look at what's going on over at DC and say, before Absolute Power, how are they doing? How have things been since the dawn of DC launched? That's how long it's been. We haven't taken quite a look in a while, so we're going to do that.
Quickly, I just want to shout out real quick, Frainalations. That's a name I've never seen. What's up, hot dog? They say already liked, but just shared to Twitter. Hey, another great way to get us outside the YouTube algorithm is to hit us on Twitter or X or whatever. Share us out there. Let people know.
That's the greatest. I love that. Michael Nadeau said, oh my God. I mean, if what happened to Peter and MJ happened to me, I would probably act out of character.
No comment.
That's funny. Blood Hunt number 2 is next up on the list. We've got quite a few books on docket today. This is written by Jed McKay with art by Pepe Larraz. The colors were provided by the incomparable Mark DeGracia, with letters by Corey Pettit. Oh, man.
Yeah.
I really, really, really liked the first issue of this. I really did.
Okay, I think we're on the same boat.
This very, very quickly the tide turned. As expected, unfortunately.
Yep.
I didn't want to say it when we reviewed Blood Hunt 1 because I really wanted to trust the process and trust the creatives and everything else. But every single thing that issue did right, I personally believe that this one does wrong. So it follows up, fairly directly off of what we got in the first issue. Of course, we saw Doctor Strange get either eviscerated or stabbed, depending on which version of the book you got. I'm holding the red band version for those that are curious. And so this one shows us that, now Black Panther's been turned, which is, terrible.
Ooh, can I show
yeah.
that page real quick? Because
Yeah.
that was another one where I opened the book and went, ooh.
Yeah,
That's Pepe Larraz vampire action. That's gnarly.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And there's a lot of great art throughout. I mean, this isn't the best book in our stack, but it certainly is one of the best looking. But Blade's daughter gets into the fray. Dracula, if you read the Dracula Blood Hunt tie-in, this connects to that. So now he's involved. Miles and Tigra and Moon Knight. Oh my. What frustrated me so much about this issue is that in the first one, we saw the Avengers get shit on.
Annihilated.
They had no chance in hell of winning the battle with those new weirdos that Jed McKay introduced.
Yep.
And then in this issue, They smoked the new weirdos.
Yeah, that annoyed me. There's no like
There's no
licking their
heat.
wounds moment.
Yeah, yeah. All of a sudden, Carol Danvers can call down the sun. Like that's not what happened, but like you know what I mean. Like,
I'm just
so what are we fighting here for? Like,
I'm blown away. I'm blown away that this is the direction that they went with. We just saw that.
in issue 2.
And not only that, during that fight, Sean, you get a whole extra page that has important details in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
There's
in the director's cut.
It seems like what it is.
but it's like it's like this. This is the kind of dialogue, right, that I get bummed out by. So let me see if I can find a good example. Okay, yes, perfect. It's the character Migrim, who is one of the new weirdos, versus the Vision. And Migrim says, "What? How?" And then Vision says, "True, my synthetic brain is close enough to a human's for your powers to work on me, but not when I cycle my own brain patterns too quickly for you to lock onto." Like, what the fuck is that? What does that mean? I don't want to read why you're suddenly able to beat them. And every character does that. They all explain why they're all of a sudden able to win when just a week or 2 weeks ago, they couldn't win. And when I say 2 weeks, I mean 2 weeks in our life. In the book, it's been probably like an hour. Like they just got beat.
Yeah.
And in the same night, they have returned to smack these guys down completely clean.
Like Thor still has a stake in his face.
Wanda just has a migraine the entire time.
Yeah.
Like, come on. Come on. That's not normally an issue 2 in an event like this. And obviously I don't have every event ever in my brain right now, but normally you're going to get a cooldown. This is now when the lines are drawn. We need to lick our wounds. We need to figure out what we could have done better, learn a little bit more about the villains and their agenda and the goal and everything like that. And I just feel like this isn't really that interested in laying much groundwork for anything compelling.
The only like regrouping we get is when they go to the Sanctum Sanctorum.
Yeah.
Right.
Which I thought that sequence I thought was pretty good.
Had they not just wiped the floor with the new weirdos,
Yeah.
that would have been great.
Because I was even thinking, okay, all right, so the Avengers are down. We lost them. But hey, here's Miles. Here's, this new weird Moon Knight guy. I know he's not Moon. What's his name, Tyler?
Hunter's Moon.
Hunter's Moon, thank you. And Tiger's there. So, okay, and Clea. So maybe we're building a new team that makes more sense for an event like this to handle the situation. And I was into that. But then the Avengers come and it undercuts everything that just happened.
Yeah.
Why do we even need Miles? And forget Miles. Why do we even need Hunter's Moon and Tiger?
And even in like the Avengers tie-in, like Steve, Captain America, is around, and he's got a shield that's laced in silver, so it's like doing extra vampire damage. I know it's really.
I
cool.
want to see that.
But the whole thing is like he's like the balance is off though. He's not throwing it too well because the balance is off.
See, yeah, that's cool. That's a good little detail that like shows he's prepared, but like out of practice. That's cool.
But then Sam shows up in this, who just got his ass kicked the last issue, and is just fine. Like he's just a little more angry. Same everything else. What
Tyler says, same next issue. Remember, it's the exact same night. I just want to point that out.
And like, I would love to see them like, I don't know, gearing up, like a gear up issue where like, all right, I don't know, Vision is gonna lace his synthetic arms with holy water. Like it's vampires. You're fighting vampires. Have some fun with it. Iron Man has a wooden suit or something. Like that's the kind of fun I'd want to see in it, and I'm just not seeing it right now. The tie-ins are great. I actually recommend some of the tie-ins. They're super fun. There's a Union Jack one that just came out where he's Union Jack the Ripper.
I saw that.
Yeah, he mentions Greg's sandwiches.
Even the Amazing Spider-Man tie-in that we got, the actual issue 49, that actually had some emotional weight to it, because Peter has to reckon with the fact that these people he's beating the shit out of are people that have been turned into vampires.
Yeah.
And I like that. Here, we spent the whole first issue watching people get completely eviscerated. Those people are not coming back.
Tigra punched someone's head off.
Right. Those are human beings, theoretically.
But also, like, if I had to go that way, that's fine.
Like, there's just no weight to this. Like, this is just comical. Is this the fun that Dan Buckley was talking about?
Probably.
That being said, it does look cool. And like I saw Bleeding Cool's coverage because my shop ran out of the Red Band copy. That shit looks cool.
For sure. For sure. I love the fact that they got Pepper LaRose back for this. You know, he got stolen by Mark Miller for Big Game.
Yeah,
We finally got him back to Marvel where he belongs, and he's doing, you know, he's obviously doing phenomenal work, and this is a great team from the art standpoint. But I don't know, man. Go ahead.
By the writing, you get stellar dialogue like, here's our philosophy. We have a lot to avenge.
Yeah, what? Come on.
Also, the whole scene where Carol breaks the dark sphere or whatever and the sunlight shines through, it just lands on Dracula. He can do that? Like, he's fine with that?
I thought that too. That's Dracula.
Yeah.
I think, man, oof, stretching my brain for this, but I feel like there was a thing that happened that makes it so that Dracula is immune to that.
Makes sense.
Maybe.
It's
vampires. You can write that off anyway. Yeah.
Yeah. Man, I really, really wanted to love this, because I feel like I've been hard on Jed MacKay when we've done some of the reviews for his books. But man, this just ain't it. And it's only 5 issues, so that's not long. And for this to be what the second issue is doing, sort of makes me feel like there's maybe not even enough story for 5 issues.
Yeah.
And Cale, just to give you, can we spoil the extra page you get, Sean?
Yeah, go for it.
I was gonna ask if there were any special Red Band highlights that you were super into.
in the issue, the big Dracula guy, the big vampire guy that's Dracula's clone apparently, he gets his mask punched off and he's like just a big vampire under there. But he pretty much just says that Blade is a vessel for something. So this kind of confirms the theory that it's not really Blade doing it, but rather something he's being controlled by, which feels like an important thing to not have in the main issue, like the main release thing.
I guess, but I felt like it was pretty clear.
Yeah, and again, if you've been reading Blade, like this isn't a surprise.
If you're reading Blade, which I don't think is many.
But I do agree that there shouldn't be pages with any level of story at all that aren't included in all versions. Cool action beats, you know, people getting torn to shreds, sure, but not any line of dialogue that could be viewed as essential, which I would say, yeah, that's essential. And also, where's Human Torch? Because I feel like he'd have this all sewn up in about 2 seconds.
The Fantastic Four were in the Free Comic Book Day issue. I haven't read that one yet. That maybe explains it.
Okay.
I don't know. But I feel like there are sun-based heroes that should be around.
Sunfire, right?
Sunfire.
Firestar. Like, there are a lot of... Like, I feel like there are a lot of people who can handle this.
There's another Human Torch, you know?
I just don't feel like vampires are enough of a problem for the heroes of Marvel. And so far... they haven't been presented as such. The best shot they had was with introducing the new weirdos in the first issue, and they undercut that now. So, frankly, I don't know what we're here doing, because Blade ain't that badass. I'm sorry, Blade's cool. I don't care who he's the vessel for. The Avengers are way too strong for this, and it's been proven.
Yep.
I would say pass. The art is really, really, really good. It's phenomenal. but it just isn't enough to help this story that, to me, I don't even know that I had fun. Like, I wouldn't even say that I had fun.
Uh, yeah, I felt like this is just rehashing the Avengers stuff. Jed McKay's already done.
Faster.
And the Avengers tie-ins that's happening is actually really good. Like it does not this, it has fun with it. So I don't know. Maybe he needed to have this book out to sacrifice his Avengers run, but
Pass.
even though I have critiques on it, it's still a pull for me. I'm having fun with it, even though I have issues with it.
Yeah. Let's see. Moonarch says, just curious, how is Blood Hunt any different than DC versus Vampires? Other than being part of continuity, feels like they're both quite similar. Yeah, I don't know, quite frankly, because I try to avoid things like that, like the plague. If this were not marketed as Marvel's big summer event, I wouldn't want to read it because it's a gimmick event and I don't like those.
The big difference is that the DC versus Vampires is Elseworlds, so whatever happens actually gets to happen. Like if they kill someone off, they're dead.
Feel like Marvel versus zombies.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
There are no stakes here.
Hey.
Aaron Ruiz, Avengers pulling a Hulk Hogan on this one. That doesn't work for me, brother. Oh yeah, they no-sold the shit out of that beating they got in the first issue.
Yeah.
Lewis Beats said the Avengers, they locked in. Sometimes you gotta lock in.
Joe says it's like putting a wrestling card together. This first match is to set the tone. The second match is to have calm and have deeper character development. Dude, I think you could even say, like, I know what you're saying, and that is completely apt. And you could even say that's the flow of a match. That's the flow of a story. There's just a certain story flow that if you're locked into, you just know. You know how it's supposed to feel, and you know when it doesn't feel like that. And this doesn't feel how it's supposed to feel. Even if you want to say there's a rematch of some kind in this issue, I don't see how you make these guys look like garbage right away. It's literally the exact opposite. In the first issue, there was nothing the Avengers could possibly do to even harm these guys. And then in the second issue, there is absolutely nothing that those guys can do to harm the Avengers. How is that,
And in the first issue, the Avengers had a reality warper, a god, and, Captain Marvel.
And an entire city they had control over.
Yeah.
And also, can I also bring up the fact that in this issue, Vision says, I am filled with solar energy, and he, it uses that to repel the vampires. Vision is not a person. Vision is basically an AI. You don't think that the first thing that robot brain thinks about when it sees vampires like this is to just turn the light on?
I have another question. Wasn't the Impossible City in space? Wouldn't he be getting plenty of solar energy over there?
Are they on it right now?
Well, they were in the first issue.
Right.
And that's in space. So you think the sun would be a little closer. Or is this an ozone layer thing that I'm just not smart about?
I don't know, but forget it, because he did it in this issue. He turns on his solar energy in this issue. He could have done that in the first issue, and there's no way he didn't think about it, because how could he not?
I thought it was because he got to fly up to the sun in like Superman style and absorb it and then redirected it.
Okay.
Which, yeah, he should have been able to do in space.
I don't know. Gore Vidal says, I rarely liked events, even in the late 80s when comics were cheaper. I didn't like the idea I had to pick up other comics to keep up with an event. Hey, I feel you on that, for sure. I'm a big fan of events. Events are some of my favorite things, but I just feel like there has to be a reason to have them. And when you compare, we're going to talk more about it on Saturday, but when you compare the build-up to Absolute Power, that shit feels like an event. It feels like DC has gotten all their ducks in a row to where you really care for these answers. Marvel said, hey, guys, do you like superheroes? Are you a fan of superheroes? Oh, cool. Well, do you like vampires? Oh, well, let's put them together. Hey, that's our summer event. Yay! No.
Do you think this is a response to night terrors?
No, I think it's an attempt to give me further night terrors.
Oh, nice.
I don't really feel like the big two even really compete with each other in that sense anymore.
That could be. That could be.
I mean, who would want to compete with that?
Two things. Columbo says it turns out the real reason Blade is the only guy who fights vampires is that it really only takes one guy to fight vampires.
Buffy showed that too. There's only one Slayer needed.
Yeah, like it's vampires.
Sorry, just one more thing before we move off vampires. This week or last week, Kelly Sue DeConnick posted a picture on Instagram of her son, who was high school age or whatever, and I guess they are doing some sort of vampire prom or some kind of a thing, and he put together the most incredible, realistic Nosferatu costume. It's stunning, like a movie level costume. Like, he does not look like himself. He looks like Nosferatu, and it's incredible.
Well, let's get him in the fucking book.
Yeah.
Let's get him on the book. Let's make some changes, please. Blade and Buffy should team up, a man after my heart. I would love to see that shit. Get Buffy all over this. Or get the X-Men. Nah, they're busy. Let's talk about the fall of the House of X, number 5. This is actually the final issue, I think.
Hooray.
Yeah. Jerry Duggan on the words, Lucas Wernick on the art, Stefano Caselli as well. Brian Valenza on the colors, letters by Travis Lanham. So, as I said, this is, we're rocketing towards a conclusion. This is the end of, I believe, this particular story, this particular book. And it's just what you would expect. I mean, they're battling with Nimrod and they're trying to bring him down, and it's an all-out war with him. It's mutants versus machines, the final battle. And, you get your big payoff. Storm, is able to obliterate Nimrod. The X-Men win the day. There's a little bit of setup for what's to come. We see the state of Professor Xavier. And that's really it. It's really it.
This book's such a bummer. Like, this whole thing's going out with a whimper. Like, Nimrod is, hyped up to be this big thing, and even in the book, the book itself even doesn't trust itself to explain things correctly. The whole idea is like, oh, Nimrod, he calculated all these different outcomes that could possibly happen, but he didn't factor in Storm? Like, come on. Like, the book itself isn't confident in its own storytelling. It is, man. This with like the Tom Brevoort denying the thruple allegations was like a real bummer in X-Men for me this week. And I also had no 97, so this this did not help. I did not like this issue at all.
Also, that you talked about all the calculations and Nimrod's foresight. This is a direct line from the book. A billion calculations only to end up being wrong about the last X-Men standing is the most humanity that Nimrod would ever achieve. So, okay, but Cyclops wasn't the last mutant standing even before Storm jumped into the mix. Nimrod caught nobodies, if I recall correctly. So we're not even at that point yet. I don't even know why that would be the point to bring up. Also, I love Cyclops to death. He's definitely not the last mutant standing in any scenario. Let's be really honest.
I mean, yeah. Like, I agree that maybe it's cool that his optic blast can maybe be one of the few things that can shatter Nimrod's armor, but that dude does not have super durability. Like,
is that something that you recall them having established prior to this?
No,
because that's pretty cool.
I took it at face value here.
But that's something that they should have seeded. This is the problem. They weren't ready for this. Why is it that this is the first time that we are really seeing the mutants take it to Nimrod? That's crazy. How Nimrod has been the primary villain since the first issue, since House and Power, since this whole thing kicked off. How is it that this is the very first time that the mutants are taking it to him? There should have been a moment where they knew, oh, wow, actually, our ace in the hole is Cyclops. If we get another shot at this, we have to position him to be able to crack Nimrod's armor so then this can happen, right? Like the teamwork that we love the X-Men so much for, which we've seen at other points being utilized. They never come across him in a way where they have the upper hand on any level. So why should I believe that now they can beat him? Because Storm is there?
Well, yeah, but that's unrelated.
Nimrod should have been able to do more than a billion calculations. I'm sorry.
And I feel like this would have been within one of them because Storm is a mutant.
Sure.
So
it would have been in one of my calculations, you know?
Right. Oh, yeah. Wow. Yeah. Storm hasn't fought Nimrod yet. She can probably kick his ass.
Yeah, it turns out
Common
Nimrod's whole flaw was just voiding his warranty, cracking it and shorting it. That's all.
Nimrod has been one of my absolute favorite parts of the Krakoan era. And I just feel like he kind of went out with a whimper. I enjoyed watching the fight because it's got some great art behind it, and Magneto was there and Polaris was there, and they really put their heaviest of hitters on the job. But it just, I don't know, it just feels very like, all right, they have to beat him now so they can.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, they have to finish this. They have to check this checkbox off. Even the whole Omega Sentinel stuff. Like Psylocke, when has Psylocke been relevant? She just pops up out of nowhere.
That was such a cool moment.
Yeah.
And if Psylocke had been more of a part of these stories, then it would have felt like something.
Yeah.
But even Betsy Braddock, who has been more involved in the Krakoan stuff, is nowhere to be seen for all of this.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, look, there are a lot of X-Men. You can't censor them all, but come on. If you're going to use somebody later, then you need to use them now, or you need to use them earlier. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it's just really, I'm struggling to understand, sort of how we got to this place. Like, again, the idea of Cyclops being able to crack Nimrod's armor is cool. I really like that. But there's work to be done to earn that idea. You can't just say it is, so it is now in the final issue of the frickin' book. Again, maybe I missed something, but if I didn't, then come on. The other side of it is we do get the battle between the Omega Sentinel and Psylocke. Omega Sentinel gets taken out by one of Psylocke's side blades that goes right through Omega Sentinel's brain and causes the Omega Sentinel part of her brain to like completely malfunction and shut down, leaving only Karima, which I like. I like the idea that now she's free and all that. I think that's really cool. I do feel though that this is another case of a character who this moment could really have dramatic weight for that we just don't see enough. That doesn't do enough.
I feel like we were even building to it within the series. Like that whole thing when Cyclops was captured. He had that discussion with Omega Sentinel and stuff. And there was little bits there. But, like, even this series seems rushed for itself.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's rushed for itself. And I think it's strange. And I don't know when we're ever going to know why. But that's just, it's perplexing. It just is, because I personally think Jerry Duggan is really talented, so I'm confused. But redemption is a part of mutant kind, and so Karima will I'm assuming we'll see more of her in the future. And then Professor Xavier makes it so that he can't be seen by Miss Marvel and Kate. So does that throw a monkey wrench into the theory about who Prisoner X is?
It'll still happen, I think. I can't think of anyone else who is qualified to be Prisoner X that isn't already
Accounted
shown
for.
to be in the
Yeah.
books.
We do still have several issues to go.
2.
Well, but several tie-ins as well. Wolverine 50, Rise of the Powers of X 5, Miss Marvel, Mutant Menace 4, and X-Men 35.
Sure. Cale, when we first started doing these reviews and we saw these pages that had that like endless list of books,
The hot M&M? Oh, looking at the
Wow.
wrong page.
Did you think about the time that would come where it would be this short and then there would be no more? Isn't it kind of weird and crazy?
Huh. I did not.
Like it kind of makes me sad.
It's wild because now I'm excited for the end, like, and not in the good way. Like, back then I would have been like, oh man, I can't believe it's the end. And now I'm like, come on, let it end.
It kind of feels like that one dog that just looks like shit. It's like crunkly and its eyes are like one leg doesn't work, and you just like, can we just put it out of its misery? Can we just bring him to the vet? Can we euthanize the X-Men right now?
The time will come. It is soon. It is soon to come. I think Nimrod could have had a more dramatic death for such a dramatic character. I really would have liked a little more. The part where he's dying, he's malfunctioning fully, and he goes into ones and zeros. I get the point, but he was talking. So was he saying 101001 Was he saying those words?
Right.
I feel like getting the point across would have been like taking the lettering and making it really frazzled and crazy and making it like not language anymore, but not ones and zeros.
I'd be curious if that binary actually translates anything.
Now that would be cool.
I bet it doesn't.
I also bet it doesn't.
Yeah, I do not have that kind of faith in Jerry Duggan.
Remember when we had Krakoan language and people were translating that in the books and it was intrigue?
Those were the days, right? That was fun. That was fun to do. Let's speak positive. Oh, God.
Every now and then I still do it. I don't get anything, but
let's speak positively though, because I do think there are some positives, right? Like the art, the Wernick and Caselli art.
Well, when did Caselli show up? Does it say what pages?
No.
As I'm thinking back on it, I don't remember seeing Caselli because we're going to talk about Caselli in a moment. I recognize Caselli art.
Is it the Lactuca stuff?
Oh, possibly. Those were nice pages. The Lactuca, man, and that's one of the things too is like I like these new Araco characters, and I have no faith we'll ever see them again.
Oh, is that? Oh, yeah, that's right.
I agree with that, Tyler. I found myself throughout this issue sort of questioning, like, all right, so why can't they just go back to Krakoa? And obviously, there are still books to go that will probably answer that, but the essential battle is over. We do still have Moira left to dispatch, and the Omega, or not Omega, but the Dominion Sinister. Those two things are left to resolve, but it seems like the Krakoa part is done. That's the vibe that I got from this issue, and I just don't understand why the mutants have to be scattered again.
I wonder if Apocalypse is going to take it over.
Interesting.
If you're a student of Xavier, you get the fuck out.
Interesting. Okay, yeah, that could be possible. Average Comics Joe, do we know if Duggan will still be on Iron Man after the fall of X? I don't know.
I think Brevoort actually mentioned something about that in his newsletter this week. I don't remember what he said, but that might be the place to look.
Yeah, I mean, I could definitely see him staying on. Yeah, I could see him staying on. As far as who we would want to take over the book, that I don't really have an answer for, but I will throw the first person's name out that I thought of, which was Philip Kennedy Johnson.
On Iron Man.
Yeah.
I was just talking to Matt the other day. We went to the shop together about Iron Man and how much I really like Christopher Cantwell's run.
Hmm.
And I feel like there was even more to be, more blood that could have been taken from that stone.
I'm not interested in an Iron Man book. Just not a character that I gravitate toward.
Fair enough. I really liked the effect of Storm's lightning, like on these pages I'm holding up here, where it's just like all over the place. It breaks the boundaries of the actual paneling. I thought that was a pretty cool effect. It's like she's so strong that she can't be contained by the comic. Um, uh, I liked seeing her lace up Nimrod. I thought that was pretty cool. And it's all perfectly well rendered. Like these are some great pages, and I'm glad that towards the end of the Krakoan era, we're seeing Storm look right. I think there
Yeah.
were so many complaints earlier on about the way that Storm was depicted, and here she actually looks phenomenal. I'm glad she's going out strong visually.
The beginning of Krakoa was like Storm is barely around and is colored too lightly, and now she possibly looks the best coming out of this. Her and Magneto.
It's almost like there's a vested interest in Storm going forward that there might not have been before. Yeah, but either way, this is another book that I think is a tale of two things. It's a tale of really great artwork that shores up a script that, well, I would say that the Amazing Spider-Man book was a lot more fun.
Yeah.
This just feels like work. It feels like Jerry Duggan is doing his job to get to the end of the Krakoan era. And you know what? I'm going to say this. As much as I think that the creatives are being let off the hook for how this is ending, because I do think that, well, I do want to say, they don't deserve, definitely not all the blame. Something happened critically behind the scenes. And I have theories. We're going to talk a lot more about that stuff in June, but something happened behind the scenes that is making this end this way. And Jerry Duggan is doing the job he was given to do.
Yeah.
So
I'll give you that.
But I do have to say, pass. This is a very unfortunate ending to a story, a period of time that started brilliantly. This chapter has closed, the fall of the House of X. Like the fact that it's called the fall of the House of X feels so appropriate because the original House of X story and period was so much better that this really is a fall.
Yep.
It's like a trip, really. It's a fumble.
Atomic Count says 42 friends hanging out talking comics on a Thursday night is like the best thing ever. I completely agree with that. I wish that we had better things to say about the books that we've talked about so far, but we can't control that, But I love that you guys are all here, show up. It's fantastic. Make sure you smash that like button if you're enjoying the conversation. If you're not subscribed to us and you are listening to this, you need to smash that sub button, buddy.
Yeah.
That's what you need to do. Yeah. We're on the road to 3K subs. We need your help to get there. Subscribe to the channel if you enjoy what we do. The ultimate side of Marvel is cooking up. We've got Ultimate Black Panther being served this week. This is written by Brian Edward Hill with art by the aforementioned Stefano Caselli. Made a guest appearance in the Fall of the House of X, but is here now as main series artist. Letters by Corey Pettit. Colors by David Curiel. This issue actually jumps forward from where the last issue left off. They were in that weird cave. Black Panther was with Storm and Killmonger. And we weren't quite sure what we were even looking at in that issue. And I expected that this one would start right from that point. And it definitely doesn't do that. It starts with Okoye giving a speech to the people of Wakanda, ensuring them that she has spoken with T'Challa and they know where their king is. Of course, these are people who are scared. They have a lot of anxiety right now because King T'Chaka just died. And now the new king, his son, T'Challa, is MIA.
Yeah.
So she's doing the queenly thing by trying to assuage the fears of her people. But of course, she knows that things are still wrong. Um, there's a battle. She and Shuri fight with this assailant. And then the Panther returns to save the day and let them know that, hey, we've got a plan. We're gonna take Moon Knight down. But we can't trust anybody but us and Storm and Killmonger. So that's the issue. What you guys make of it?
I have trouble gathering my thoughts on this series. It's good. I like this book, and I think the craft is there. But I don't know if I really have much to say about it. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Like, it's just a solid book. I don't think it's doing anything revolutionary. I don't think there's really, that I've seen, much real commentary that, in a way, Coates' run has made me expect out of a Black Panther book. But it's a solid superhero book. Looks really good. I love Caselli's art. But it's not really layered for me just yet. Or maybe I'm just not seeing it yet.
I mean, I think the part of the problem is that it's really taking small chunks. It's not taking big bites. And
Yeah.
so you can't really get into the meat of what the story is about below the surface, or at least I can't, because it's too busy doing what it needs to do on the surface. This issue has what, 3 sequences or 4 scenes overall, which is not, that's like a normal amount of scenes, but every scene has exactly what you expect it to have, and then that's it. The scene with Okoye, assuring the people and then speaking to Shuri. Okay, cool. Then Okoye gets attacked by assailant, which that the fact that the person that attacked her sweat on her when they were wearing an entire garment that completely covered up their entire body. What the hell was that?
That was kind of weird. And I would say that that was kind of one slight flaw in the art that I found, because to me that globule of sweat looks absolutely massive.
As somebody
Yeah.
who once wore a Moon Knight costume to New York Comic Con, I can confirm the sweat will come through it.
Well, what is this individual sweating about? What has happened?
They're in Africa.
And
I don't
also-
know. It's probably got to be pretty warm there.
Well, and also, what's this thing made of? Like, wasn't your Moon Knight thing
I had a full suit.
microfiber?
I had a full suit and like a 3-piece suit. It was the Mr. Knight.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever
That-
sweat more in my life.
That took me out of the comic, and that was one of the worst contrivances I've seen in a while. Like, I would have preferred it if she just woke up.
Yeah. And even then, that she that she touched her cheek and she immediately knew
Sweat?
Like, it was like, what is that sweat made of?
Dude, a nuclear bomb could go off outside, and I'm not that sure that I would be awake. You can't, like, come on, and I get that maybe she has a heightened sense of awareness, but no, I'm sorry. But like, all the scenes, there's a bunch of pages in that action sequence, like that takes up the majority of the book. There's just not a lot of room to do anything in that.
I think my thing with this book, and maybe it's the thing that everybody's having trouble with, is it's paced really slowly. It's not crawling the way Ultimate X-Men is, but it's taking its time, and it's having you live in these moments, which is great. And I think Joe in the chat, says it will probably read better in trade. I absolutely think that's true. But it doesn't feel like we're going anywhere fast.
I also feel like the fact that Ultimates isn't out right now is really. I don't know where I stand with this whole universe. I feel like I need a like a like a like a compass, like a northern star
Anchor.
to point me in the right direction for how I feel about this whole universe. So this feels like an Ultimate Black Panther book, but I'm not sure of its point yet. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the point is to show what's happening in the Wakandan part of the world as it relates to, everything that the maker has done. But what's the point behind that? Like, what's the point behind the point? What's the reason why I need to read this book as opposed to anything else on the stands? I think the art is phenomenal. Caselli just doesn't miss. He's definitely made himself an elite artist in this industry. And David Curiel is the perfect partner for his art style. And I really just don't have anything negative to say because the art is so damn good on every page. But um, and the fight between the Moon Knight dressed woman, the former Dormelage, and Shuri is great. It's great
Yeah.
looking stuff, but I just need to know what the hell's going on. Like someone in the chat, who was it? Tilo said these books are each issue it represents a month in time. Each issue takes place a month apart.
Is that
Okay.
true for this book?
I think that tracks actually.
I think it's true for each of the books.
It's definitely true for Spider-Man.
Yeah. I don't Ultimate X-Men doesn't it's hard to say. But
Yeah.
the point is that the most interesting thing that I have seen in the 4 issues we've gotten so far of this book is the cliffhanger of 3. And
Yeah.
4 doesn't go back to that. In fact, 4 does everything that I think 3 did. It's got a spicy conversation between Okoye and Shuri, a fight, and then Black Panther, Killmonger, and Storm looking cool.
Yeah.
It does the same things, and it leaves out the only thing that the last issue did that was like, oh shit, I gotta see what that's about. So that's a problem for me.
Guess we needed it for the cliffhanger.
Yeah. But again, I still think it's good. I really do want to see where this is going to go. And Brian Hill has more than earned my trust as a writer. He's very skilled. The most impressive thing from a writing standpoint about this book is how good Hill is at using minimal dialogue. I always find myself really impressed by that. Back before I started trying to write comics for myself, I always was like, yeah, they write so many words, it's great. Then I realized that, of course you can write a lot of words to get your point across, and you can cover up a lot of art in doing that. But what can you do in a small amount? And Hill has mastered that. So I really do appreciate that about what he does. I would still say pull on this. I do think it's a good comic overall. I do have some problems with it, and I really want to see where it's going to go. I think it has to kind of get going, but overall, it's doing good stuff.
Yeah, it's a pull for me too. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I'm still having a good time. I just kind of would like to get going.
Yeah. Inquisitor Drace, what's up? Actually caught one of these streams live. Thank you for hanging out. Of course, I've seen your name many times, but appreciate you being here. CW Gordon says Africa is hot, yo. Yeah, absolutely. But if you are completely covered, how is your sweat getting through you and then landing fully intact? A big ass sweat globule landing on someone else's face, powerful enough to wake them up out of their sleep, and then
go
react quickly
then go,
enough to avoid your
"Sweat?"
big ass cloud sword cutting through their body.
Yeah.
You've never had a horrible swamp ass then.
My man used to be a WoW player. He's had swamp ass.
Of course. It's ridiculous. Let's see what else. What's up, Dan? Good to see you, Dan. Average Comics Joe says, we all know the universe is smartly put together, but the question is why these characters and what role they will play when the Mick comes back to smack that ass. And we know the 616 Reed Richards is still looking for him. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I just need to see why the individual books have to exist. I get it with Spider-Man. Spider-Man is phenomenal. I just need a little bit more out of Black Panther. Just a little bit more. Sean, she is a trained Dora. Okay, so if you want to take that argument and then flip it, isn't the assailant also a trained Dora? Wouldn't she factor in sweat? Isn't she capable of knowing that she might trigger a response because she sweat on the person? Isn't that the entire point of being completely draped, is to not give any idea about who you are or trip a person up or anything like that?
I will say that one panel where Okoye recognizes the sweat, and it's very like manga influence. It's just like this bright pink that it turns. She has a shocked face when she makes realization. I thought that was pretty well done.
I want to talk about the listener pick of the week.
Oh boy.
That being Wonder Woman. I come on here every week, twice a week, sometimes 3. And, I put a lot of time into the show, making it as good as it can be, tirelessly, hours, every week. For you guys to show up to the poll and fuck me. That's what you guys do. That's what you choose to do. We put a poll up for you guys to pick, from 4 really great books that the industry wants to offer us that week. And you specifically go out of your way to screw me. Screw with me. Why?
What if they just really want me to read a book I like? What if there's a positive spin to it?
Nah.
That doesn't count because Sean and I don't like it.
Yeah.
And you're outvoted. Marco's not here, so.
CW Gordon says just skip it. No, we can't because you guys voted for it. You chose it. And we have some of you in the chat right now. I see you. How are we gonna review Batman versus Superman? You think I read that? You think I had a chance to read that? There were 6 books. You had a choice. You had a choice. We could have been. It's here. It's here. I got it right here. We could have been talking about this book. But no, we're not. We're talking about Wonder Woman #9. That's what we're talking about.
Y'all can't let us have anything.
So you didn't like it?
Wonder Woman #9 by Tom King, written by Tom King, with art by Daniel Semper, colors by Tumumore, letters by Clayton Cowles. And this issue features Wonder Woman and Steve Trevor in a variety of sequences that are not actually happening. They are happening in the mind of Wonder Woman as she is using Steve and her memory of Steve and her inner version of Steve to help her through what she is enduring, what the Sovereign is putting her through. And so every page of this issue is dedicated to that. It's essentially a love issue that justifies Steve Trevor's role in the life of Diana Prince. I did not ask for this, did not need this, I did not want this. And you know what? I did not like this. I don't want to do it anymore with this comic book. I truly, and I need to say this, I really hate when I come on here and have to say negative things about books. I really don't like it. I like to talk positively about the books that we read every week. But you guys asked us to read Wonder Woman this week. And I don't even know how I got through it. Somehow, and I despise the Sovereign-focused inner monologue issues. But somehow this was worse than that.
There was another inner monologue. It was
Yeah.
just presented as speech bubbles.
Right. It's Wonder Woman going back and forth with herself, because it's not really Steve. It's Wonder Woman going back and forth with herself, justifying the existence of Steve Trevor in her life while she's trapped in a room by the Sovereign. One of those things is very compelling, and the other feels like a waste of time. I have no idea why we needed this. If she's not, go ahead, Cale. Sorry.
I was going to say because it's an ongoing.
Right.
Did you read 8?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I liked it.
Go for it. I know.
I mean, I liked how Wonder Woman is one of those characters that I think in her ongoings, writers have historically had issues synthesizing who she is as a character. And I think Tom King is trying to do that with this book. Did it need to be the entire issue? I don't know. But it is an ongoing. Tom King likes to do these things in his ongoings. And dedicate whole issues to things that are more internal. He did it with Batman. So I'm not against it. And I think the Sampere art is phenomenal. There's the one bit that really came out, stuck out to me, and I'm gonna get the actual quote so I don't butcher it wildly. It's when Steve and Wonder Woman are talking. It's that blank white background. It's essentially Wonder Woman's been in solitary confinement for so long, and she's finally at the point where she thinks she's breaking down, and she can't even imagine a setting for them anymore. Like, that's how far her mind is going. And then, Steve, or her perception of Steve in her mind, is talking to her, and, she's trying to compare herself to Batman or Superman. And Steve says, "You're not Clark. You're not Bruce. Clark was killed. Bruce was broken. You, Diana, remain undefeated." And I thought that was a really good bit to kind of distinguish the characters.
All that does is say, here's why Wonder Woman is better than them, which I don't get why that continues to be the note of this series. Every issue so far has been dedicated to how amazing Wonder Woman is. Her fucking name is Wonder Woman. I already get it. Can we tell a story, please? Can we move this thing along?
Isn't
Bruce
that the story,
was broken. No, how is that the story? 9 issues, okay? And these are not cheap. What is this? $5, $4.99 a comic. You're telling me it's a story to have the main character be named Wonder Woman and every single issue be dedicated to why she is so amazing. We know it. I'm a fan of Wonder Woman. I'm reading the book because I think she's amazing. How many times do I need Tom King to tell me that?
And there's also nothing happening. Like this, this issue takes place literally in one room. And all we're seeing is the flashes of her mind, which is fine. But like, this is nothing. It evokes emotion, and it evokes, the passage of time, and it evokes, this arc of her, like we've said, her justifying Steve's existence in her life. Okay, fine. But broadly speaking, there's nothing going on. Okay, she's been captured by the Sovereign. Yeah, but what?
She was already captured by the Sovereign. We already saw her captured by the Sovereign. We saw how he was breaking her mind by telling her lies. We saw her stuck in that domesticated life with Steve Trevor. We saw her break through, and then she gets put back in, and now we're here. It's the same exact beat. We saw her break through his mind control because she realized, oh shit, I'm Wonder Woman. I'm the baddest. We know it. Why are we doing it again?
We're probably
At
gonna do
this
it one more
point,
time,
it just
too.
doesn't. What?
It's probably gonna happen one more time as well.
It's gonna happen quite a few more times.
it just doesn't feel respectful of money. Like, these comics are not cheap. And I'm not saying that the writer's responsibility is to worry about my wallet. The writer's responsibility is to tell the best story possible. But 9 issues in, and I just don't even know what has happened. Wonder Woman got captured. I get that. Okay, does anybody care about that? Does the world at large care where Wonder Woman is at? Maybe we could see some of that stuff. Focus on the other people. We just had an issue dedicated to Wonder Woman telling the other members of the Wonder Woman clan not to get involved. But now she's MIA. That has to matter to somebody.
And also, what about the bigger mystery that's happening?
That's fallen off a cliff. Like the Amazon war and everything else, like that's not even. Man.
So issue 10 will be on the poll, right, Sean?
I saw someone said I shouldn't put it on the poll. I put it on the poll because this podcast is not about me only. I put it on the poll because obviously you guys enjoy it. I mean, it won the poll this week. You enjoy the book. Tyler loves it. You know, I'm trying to spread it around.
Does Marco even like it? I can't even.
I'm not.
I feel like he's never. He's always not
he's,
here for this discussion.
He says he does.
What about the rat she ate? People keep bringing up the rat she ate. Wonder Woman ate a fucking rat in this comic. I mean, we didn't see it happen, which maybe that would have been compelling. You want to show me? You want to make me feel? Show me something crazy.
And then the rat's wife came to, you know, say, "Hey, have you seen my husband?" And she said, "Oh, dude, sorry."
But look at this double page spread on which
waiting for you to bring that up.
Wonder Woman and Steve Trevor are walking on a beach. Again, none of this is actually happening. This is all in her mind. They're walking on a beach, and she spends the entirety of the double page spread from left to right, word balloons, talking about speaking with the wife of the rat that died, and the wife rat saying, I'm gonna just say it. This is what the lines. My life is hell. I am hated and hunted. I survive being lower than all else, living where no one lives, eating what no one will eat, loving what no one loves. It is difficult. It is dangerous. It is impossible. And it is better than what you have. For you, my dear, you are being comforted by a rat. Did that happen? No, obviously it didn't. So everything that she just said is made up. So everything that I'm reading is made up. And it didn't need to take all that space to tell me that Wonder Woman is in a rough spot. I already know. Tom King is really good at writing poetic-y dialogue. But let's get to something. Wonder Woman eats rats?
I've not eaten a rodent, so I can't tell how bad that would be.
This would be a really good snapshot issue. You know, a really solid annual. But that it's issue 9, the end of volume 2 in a trade. We still haven't solved the initial mystery. There's been no real movement on the Sovereign other than, I don't know, we see him now. Like,
well, I mean, isn't this the movement of the Sovereign? Isn't the Sovereign's goal to make Wonder Woman a supplicant?
But he's not.
He's trying.
But he's not. Like, it's not like, yes, he's trying. He's locked her away. But we're actively seeing her come out on top every time. Every single time.
Easily.
Time. And it's not like there's struggle, but it's not like, you know, she just overcomes it because she's Wonder Woman. It's the same I'm Batman bullshit that DC does all the time.
Cale, dude, that is exactly where I was about to go. This issue spends so much time focused on how Wonder Woman is different. Back to the line that Tyler said that he loved. Bruce was broken. Clark died. You're unbeaten. Okay, So are you telling me that I haven't read countless stories where the other two parts of the trilogy get their minds messed with and they overcome it? Wonder Woman's going to overcome it because she's Wonder Woman. The same way Batman would do it because he's Batman. The same way Superman does it because he's Superman. To this point, I have not learned why Wonder Woman is different, because any one of them would break out of this. Why is Wonder Woman specifically different?
Again, like, not to keep harping on this, but like, what about what this book is about? It was sold on the Amazon mystery. What happened?
I'm sorry to the people in the chat that love this book. I truly am. And maybe the best course is to not review it, because I truly like the art is berserk.
The one page, if you're talking about the art, the one page of them, it looks like some kind of Greek island, and there's that view of the ocean, and they have that like tiling that Sampere draws. Is just so good.
But I don't get off on coming here and being negative about the book. And I'm sure, it's, you guys want to hear us talk positively. So if you don't want us to review Wonder Woman anymore, say so. But the last time that I invested myself into a Tom King ongoing would have been Batman. And I did not finish that.
And now Alfred's dead.
But I liked that to number 9. I thought that was incredible. I was on the hook. I was loving it. And it has similar beats. Like there were bottle issues, and there were issues that were slower paced and stuff like that. But I don't know what it is. I felt like I was really connected with what Tom was doing. And don't get it twisted. I was looking forward to Tom King writing Wonder Woman like nobody's business. I fucking love Wonder Woman. I think Wonder Woman is phenomenal. Clearly, Tom King also loves Wonder Woman. The problem is he loves her so much that he's not willing to say anything else, and I really need him to do that. I really need him to do it. Because Wonder Woman isn't perfect. Expose her flaws. He exposed Batman's flaws. Expose her flaws. What does the Sovereign have to exploit? Because so far, the answer is nothing. And that is not interesting storytelling. If she has no weaknesses and she cannot be broken, then why do I need to buy this?
And it feels like, I mean, at this point, like, her problem is that she won't ask for help.
Yeah.
But why would she? She can just overcome it.
Well, I think that's where it's going to turn. Because their whole thing is that she's internalizing everything and not asking for help at all. Even when she asks for help from Steve in this, it's still herself that she's dealing with. And I think this whole sovereign torture thing, I think it's like a mind, body, spirit sort of situation. Already tried tackling the mind. This is spirit. And I think body, I think they bring Cheetah in the next issue, that's where things are going to go haywire. I can see what Tom's doing here, but I can also see your guys' opinions on it.
I don't like this issue.
Wait, what?
It wasn't.
I'm so lost by that comment.
It wasn't like, again, like, I have all of the same problems, but I didn't read issue 8. And so the device here actually really played for me, and I thought it was really clever. But going through all that and still realizing, oh, okay, this is still Tom King doing his same Tom King stuff, was quite a bit of a slog. It's cool that he tried something different here, and I thought it was clever. And he hid what he was doing, I thought, really well, but it's still doing the same thing.
Man, I wish I could even give it that much credit. The art's great. Sampere is an elite level artist. I feel like I've said this like 4 times in a row now. with these books. But Sampera is an elite level artist, and the best part about this issue is that every new sequence that we jump into gives Sampera an opportunity to draw a different locale, Wonder Woman doing something else, sometimes even changing costumes, which was nice to see. There were I'm not seeing any, but when I read this, I thought I recalled there being some like throwback costumes, or interesting variations. But go ahead, Tyler.
His ability just to draw like different clothing is good. Like that's hard in comics for a lot of people, especially a lot of men drawing comics. The fashion
Yeah.
isn't really there, but she's just wearing some normal clothes in some of these sequences, and it just looks good.
The leather jacket she has on with her symbol on the back is sick as hell. This looks super cool.
Or even the one where it's like a turn of the century party, and she kind of has like a flapper dress on, like it's one page. But she's like taller than Steve, and there's that little bit to it. Yeah, this is amazing art.
And you know what's crazy is I actually liked 8. We didn't review that one, but I liked it. And I'd said as much on the show that week.
I think I remember hearing you say that. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was part of why I put it into the poll too, because I'd like 8. I didn't anticipate that 9 would do the exact same thing again. Pass. The good art is not enough for me, and I am tired of this. I love Tom King. I think he's great, but I am just tired of this.
Yep. Pass.
You just said you liked it.
Yeah, but I also spent 20 minutes saying why I didn't.
Yeah,
actually
I'm very
like
confused in your stance. It's a pull for me.
Average Comics Joe says, didn't Batman say the hero he fears the most is Wonder Woman because she has little to no faults? I'm assuming you mean like weakness. The art and covers are better than the writing. I've heard more about this run more than anything. Yeah, I mean, Batman has said that. Wonder Woman is often positioned as that character, like the one that doesn't have a weakness, or has the least weaknesses or whatever. But I don't think that that's actually like helpful for her. I don't think that's helpful from a narrative standpoint, and I don't think you want people to have that perception.
Well, I think it's fine for other heroes to have that perception. It's not fine for us to have that perception.
Right. Yeah, exactly. We shouldn't think that, because there is no story you can do with a character that doesn't have weaknesses. Everybody has to have a weakness. Superman is not immune to weaknesses. He has weaknesses. Maybe those weaknesses don't make him physically vulnerable outside of kryptonite, but he has people that he cares about. That's a weakness that we see exploited pretty regularly. I guess, again, the idea is that Wonder Woman's weakness is that she won't ask for help. All right. I don't know. I feel like that same idea is being executed in Batman, but there's a lot more drama there to me. Because if you think about it, Batman also told his people, hey, I don't need your help. Stand down. They stood down. Things got in trouble for him. And then now he's going to have to rebuild the Bat family to stop Zur-En-Arrh. It's the exact same story. Tom King is just taking a lot longer to do anything with it.
Did you guys read the backup?
Nope, I am
hate
not
these backups. Yeah.
not doing it.
Yeah.
I skimmed through it because I think the art looks good, but I don't really care much to read the story. Eisner nominated short story though, apparently.
No,
Right.
This one, that one.
The one from the special, I believe, which is this is a continuation of that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Inquisitor Dre says, standing ovation for Sean. Hey, man, I come on here to tell the truth. Hopefully you guys like it, but I know that not everybody's going to agree with me, and that's totally cool. Dan says, I think the best take would be that her near perfection alienates her from understanding regular people. She doesn't have a handle on normal human life. Yeah, let me see that. But of course, if you show me that, then that's not overly exciting either. I just feel like there's not a balance between, excitement and drama and, depth and plot. I feel like all of those things are not being appropriately served.
Columbo says, I was disappointed when they referenced the Max Lord neck snap, but then just didn't say anything else about it. Yeah.
It's a good point. It's a good point. By the way, that was the listener pick poll winner, as we discussed. I'm not happy with the result, but of course, there is always another week. And this week, of course, as always, we have a new poll up. And I'm very interested to see what you guys are going to choose this time around. So we've got Dawn Runner #3. That is, of course, by Ram V and Evan Cagle. That's the kaiju mech book that those two are doing. That's at 14% of the vote. Midnight Sun's Blood Hunt #1, also at 14% of the vote. I really wanted to see, do you guys want us to talk about Blood Hunt outside of the core series? So far, that hasn't been the case. This is another opportunity at that. And I think this one's being written by Brian Hill, so that's pretty exciting as well. Gromit's #1. That's at 18% of the vote. That is a new Image #1 coming from Rick Remender and Angle, but I could be wrong. Either way, it's a skate book. I think it's Rick Remender getting back to his punk roots. So I'm personally excited about that. But are you? Go vote if you are. And winning the poll thus far by a landslide, as I would expect, is Avengers Twilight #6. To this point, this book has been excellent, one of the best series on the stands, and I anticipate that 6 will be no different. But is that the book you want to hear us talk about? Make sure you go to youtube.com/thecomics under the community tab and cast your vote.
Do it now. Open up a new tab. Just do it.
Yeah, get it done. Get it done. All right. Where do we vote? youtube.com/thecomics under the community tab. So you're going to go to our page, right, on YouTube and click the community button, and you're going to see the poll there. It's the most recent thing posted there. But what you guys got to make sure of is that when you go there, if it's not Thursday, if it's not live, we may have made another post. You got to scroll down. You got to scroll down the community tab. Let's talk about Rook Exodus. Unfortunately, the only indie representation on the docket this week, but it's a Ghost Machine book, which is always something that we're excited to get into. So this is by, of course, the incomparable Jeff Johns and Jason Fabok on writing and art, with colors by Brad Anderson and letters by Rob Lee. One of the few books, I had this thought when I looked at the cover, one of the few books to get the entire creative team actually on the cover, which is cool.
Good point. Like full names.
Yeah. You don't always see that.
Yeah.
So this book introduces us to Direwolf, who is the woman protagonist of the book. She's presumably going to end up being the love interest. The book establishes that there is a history between her and Rook. And so now she's entered the fray. Of course, we did lose the friend of Rook's buddy, the pig guy. Swine. Yeah, he was awesome, but he bit the dust in the first issue. So we had to have another character introduced for Rook to talk to. Rook survives an encounter with a massive turtle. That was awesome. I really, really liked that part. That reminded me of very little relation, but that reminded me of the character from Ninja Turtles, the giant turtle guy.
Oh
yeah.
Razor,
yeah, I think.
That his name? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that snippet was awesome. This giant ass snapping turtle with a truck. Yeah.
Hell yeah. This, like, the writing is cool. I like everything Jeff Johns is establishing is pretty cool. But man, Jason Fabok is just on another level. Oh my god, dude.
That's kind of where I am on this. Like, the story isn't that complex. It's not breaking any molds, but it looks good. Like, buildings look cool.
Yeah.
This homemade rocket ship looks cool. A giant snapping turtle getting hit in the head with a tank jeep is something I would have done with my toys and action figures as a kid. Like, it's just cool looking.
Oh, thanks for the clarification on that, Gavin. It was Toka.
Got mine
Average
mixed
Comics
up.
Joe, I gotta go. What time y'all stream Saturday? So the Saturday streams are live at 10:15 a.m. Eastern. So if you're on the West Coast, that's obviously a little bit tougher, but yeah, we're gonna be hanging out at 10:15. You guys are not gonna want to miss the conversation we're gonna have on Saturday. We're gonna talk all about the state of DC Comics. Back to Rook. Yeah, I mean, there are so many just awesome sequences visually here. It just feels like Jason's having so much fun. And Jeff Johns had to set a table. Jeff Johns had to create a sandbox, an environment for Jason to go crazy in. Let's keep in mind the original concept, the original idea for all this seems to have come from Jason, because he has talked about how there was a story he wanted to tell since he was really young and he never got around to it. And working with Jeff now has presented this opportunity. This is the book they wanted to do that took them away from Three Jokers too. That's what we were supposed to get next from them. And they went to this. And you can see why. Fabok is doing the absolute best work of his entire career right now.
He's having fun doing it too. Like from interviews and talking to him and just reading the book, you can tell.
Yeah. Hound requested mild spoilers, so we'll lean into that. I don't think we've spoiled anything yet, but maybe a little.
I think that might have been for the Wonder Woman discussion that was happening in the chat.
Don't forget it if that was the case. We spoiled that whole kit and caboodle. But yeah, we do get a little bit more of the villain, the primary antagonist that we have here so far, Ursaw. That dude just looks like $1,000,000. Like just a very cool outfit and design, the bears that he controls, and oh my god, man, like dude, come on.
I also like the good character bit that is, what's the direwolf, where she pretty much says, "Don't kill the animals," and she's like tranking them instead. Like it's a little thing like that that tells you a lot about the character without having to spend much time explaining it.
Yeah.
There's just so much good visual stuff here. It's like you really got to buy this just for that alone. The double page spreads, there are a couple, I think, and man, they're phenomenal. What is, I don't even know if I want to say lacking, because it's definitely present. Johns takes some time to slow things down and get into the mind of Rook a little bit more, and we see what he's dealing with. And the book sort of, it's Rook is sort of saying that the reason why he's struggling so much is because of his connection to the birds. But I think it's pretty clear that it's just because he's traumatized and he's dealing with a lot, and he's not facing what is going on. He's passing the emotional buck, if you will. And that's cool, but there's nothing happening from a character standpoint that feels different than anything else. It's largely giving us the beats you would expect.
It's a little bit John Wick towards the end, just pissed off revenge. Which
Yeah,
I love those movies, so that's not a negative.
this book is a lot of fun. It might be it's one of the best looking books in comics right now. And that's enough. But then on top of that, there's really cool stuff happening here. This is an easy pull for me. I am Rook is leading the pack for me as far as the Ghost Machine books so far.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it's got the most interesting concept, and it's probably the most deviation from normal Jeff Johns and Fabok material.
That's a good point. This is not what I would have, like, this project doesn't, I don't see this and go, yeah, this is totally Jason Fabok's lane.
Yeah.
Because it is pretty different from what I've seen before.
Not only that, I don't think it's Jeff Johns' lane really either.
Definitely not.
It's a post-apocalyptic setting. It's not cheery and based in the good old boys that is, DC characters,
Well, and not for nothing, and certainly not to insult John's creativity. But even this concept of, the bear helmets having this connection to animals and the way that affects the characters, like, that's not a John concept.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that feel familiar and reminiscent, but that rarely bothers me, especially if the material is compelling. Right
Yeah.
now, I think that they have something on their hands that is just going to be about buzz. Can this book sustain buzz? Because at New York Comic Con, we could be looking at people wearing these helmets, but it's really all about can they really sell people on this?
Yeah.
I mean, you look in the book. There's ads for merch. There's ads for hats, shirts, coffee. You see the Ghost Machine coffee that's coming out.
The ghost roast. Yeah.
Ghost roast, yeah.
They're being pretty aggressive about how they monetize outside of just selling books. And I think that that's smart when you have so many creators that have, ownership positions or, stake positions. It's another, income stream and you always want to diversify. They gotta stay on target with these helmets and with the marketing opportunities that Rook presents. Rook and Geiger feel like the ones that are just ready made for, the screen.
Mm.
Look at Mad Max. We have Furiosa,
Yeah.
out tonight.
Going tomorrow, yeah.
I mean, this is visual from a visual standpoint. This definitely has some elements of that, but then it also has the potential to show us other types of looks and feels. So the bounds are not, there are no boundaries. It's really about how get this fucking thing over, get people into it.
Yeah.
And judging by the demand on our Discord alone to have a separate channel dedicated to just this, I mean, sure, we talk about Ghost Machine. We've had Jeff Johns on the show, so a lot of people have a little more vested interest in there. But that's been requested before a Boom one, before an IDW one, before a Dark Horse one. So there is buzz around these books. And I think once they start announcing and releasing books that aren't written by Jeff Johns and there's other people involved, I think we're going to see even more buzz.
Hope so. Tom Account says my Ghost Machine hoodie is already a favorite. I keep forgetting. I want to get one.
I gotta get one of ours.
Oh shit! Right? Yeah, I don't even have our hoodie. Do we have a hoodie? Do we sell a hoodie?
Yeah, we got
We could get one if we don't. Yeah.
We
sell
definitely-
bomber jackets.
Yeah. That's a reminder that we have a store. There's a link in the description of this video if you want to own some Comics Pals merchandise.
Jeff Johns was doing an ad for our merch better than we are.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there are probably more eyeballs on that for merchandise than we've put out. But hey, thanks, Jeff. Appreciate you. We actually sent him a cup and I forget what we sent him, a cup and a hat. Yeah, it was a cup and a hat. And yeah, he was rocking that cup. So thanks, Jeff. Those are the reviews this week. Those are the reviews, but we are not done. We are not done because you guys know what we like to do around here. We like to get to the stack. Now, this is a segment where I present my stack to you all. I present to you the week of books that I have purchased. And your responsibility, your goal, if you choose to engage with it, is to guess the amount of books that I bought for the week without going over. And whoever is right can get a copy of any of the books that we didn't review on the show that are Marvel based. Except for Cale. I gave which ones did I give you this week?
It was Spider-Man and Blood Hunt.
All right, so Black Panther and House of X will also be up for grabs if you so choose.
Nice.
But let's get those numbers in the chat. What did you think as far as my purchases this week? This was a pretty big week for comics. Normally when we do a six book review week, it's because there was just a lot going on. And that was definitely the case. This week I had to buy some bags and boards. And let me tell you something, those fuckers have got expensive. I used to be able to get my both the bags and the boards for like $10, $12, somewhere in that realm. And now this week I bought bags and boards, and the bags were $11. and the boards I want to say were 14.
Packs
And it's
boards?
only 100 copies each.
Man.
I'm bagging and boarding books. Look, guys, we all know I have a problem. We've all established that. So I'm going to be honest, and it might scare you.
Whoa, hound. Holy cow.
Here right now, in my home, I probably have about 2,000 unbagged and unboarded comics.
You know, all those books have scoliosis. Their spines are bent.
Y'all gotta up your Patreon donation so we can get Sean some bags and boards.
It's a lot. It's a lot, guys. It's a lot. You have no idea. Uncaged, 272.
Irresponsible.
Those are hound numbers. I don't put those kind of numbers up. You speak to the man about that. I don't do that. I need to see some more numbers dropping. Let me see those numbers.
I'm gonna go 15.
15, okay. It's a good number. Not that I know what the number is. I have no idea. I never know.
Did you say you did get the red band cover, the red band issue of
I sure did.
Okay.
Sure did.
All right. It had the same cover as the normal one. I feel like the last one didn't.
It's the same cover. It just has red on the top.
Oh, okay.
I love the shocked reactions to my revelation. I gotta be honest with you.
I own a photo of what the stack looks like. I just have to keep that close to the chest.
Everyone ups their donation $5. We'll release that photo.
That's what Cale says. I don't say that.
It's about a year-old photo, though, so it's not up to date.
Right. It has grown. It has grown. Just think about it. What's my average, right?
Yeah. 14, 15. Yeah.
Times 52.
Oof. All right. We've got Izzy with 19. We've got Dan with 16. Capsule's got 17. Justin 12. Rami's got 15. Lewis Beats says 11. Franelation says 17. Hound says 23. Aaron Ruiz says 15. Colombo says 18. I think I'm gonna 18 feels like a good number to me. I'm gonna go 18.
CW Gordon getting that 16 in there.
Oh yeah, very good.
Izzy's issues. Is there a P.O. box we can send extra bags and boards to eventually can piecemeal together a few thousand? That's funny. That's funny. I've had a couple really kind listeners send things here and there, not bags and boards. But hey, if you're trying to send me bags and boards, I will humbly accept them.
Izzy says, I feel your pain. I'm slowly rebagging and boarding all 9,300 of my stepfather's collection.
Whoa. Rebagging and boarding.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I'm in the same way, actually. I have these books behind me that have like the bags are starting to get a little crinkly, so I have to rebag them with better bags. Because these bags I think are from like the 90s. So they're old.
Dan says, I've given up on trying to figure out. It's 16 every week.
Columbo says, I'd send you money for bags and boards, but I can barely afford my own. Why are they expensive? God damn. You know why they're expensive? Because of the price of paper. And you know, the wood and everything else. Not the wood, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. And corporations.
And that too. Yeah. All right. Let's go. Let's get it. So we've got the 6 that we reviewed on the show. We've got World's Finest, number 27. How to get that.
That's right. And you already showed that off.
Sure did. We've also got Alan Scott Green Lantern, number 6.
Final issue there. How is it, Sean?
I don't know. I haven't gotten to that. Superman 14. Really looking forward to reading that. Green Lantern War Journal, number 9. I'm bummed that this is ending soon. It's been really good.
Oh, can't wait to get to it.
Yeah. Grimm, number 17.
Wow.
Yeah. What else we got here? Oh, ugh. The Holy Roller, number 6.
Oh, come on, dude.
I had a moment. I had a moment where I almost put it down because I picked it up just off instinct. And I had a moment where I almost put it down. And I thought of you actually. And I remembered your reaction that you had the last time.
Sure, it was just like the one I just gave you.
It sure was. But you know what? I had to get that bad boy anyway. I had to do it. I don't know why, but I had to.
Live your truth, but boy.
What else? Something is killing the children. Number 37.
Okay, Sean, we're at issue 37. What issue did you last read?
Oh, geez.
6.
What'd you say?
2?
6.
No, no. Probably somewhere in the 20s.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
So still a lot of catching up to do. In fact, the cashier at Midtown Comics, she was like, "Oh wow, I just saw the other day that it's been 5 years since this book kicked off," and I was like, "5 years? What are you talking about? There's no way it's been 5 years." But
Yeah.
she was right. Void Rivals number 9, still great.
Izzy just said, Jesus, is something is killing the children still running?
Right?
There you go.
Immortal Thor, number 11. Can't wait
Could
to
have
dive
read
into
that this
that.
week.
Huh?
We could have read that this week.
Oh, I wish we had. That's it. That's the stack this week.
Ooh,
I'm
15.
one over. I'm 1 over.
15?
Did we have a 15? Rami got it.
Nice. Again, Rami's won a few
Rami-
times.
Rami and Aaron, I think, are the only ones.
Mhm. Yep. Justin, too low, buddy. At 12 on a week like
Wow.
this.
Yeah, Lewis, I know you're new here, but you got to up those numbers.
Yeah, you. Oh boy. I mean, when it's if it's a 6-book week, that is a key. That is a key clue that my stack is probably going to be large that
Yeah.
But yeah, so if either one of you, so who was first? It was Rami first. So Rami,
first
if you
and then Aaron. Yeah.
if you want any of the Marvel books, you can just reach out. And then of course, if you don't want if you don't want them, Aaron Ruiz, you're certainly able to as well. Rami would have first dibs, but both of you won, so both of you reach out and we can work something out. It's not a lot of options this week, but you know, either way.
You didn't get Cobra Commander 5? All right, keep that in your brain, everybody.
You know what? You know what? That was one of those moments where it was like, I already read this because I had to for the interview.
Sure.
And my collector side was like, wait, but you need it because you have all the other ones. But the other side of me was like, I don't need to live my life that way. Like, I don't have to. I already read it. Why do I need to buy it? So I gave into that part of myself. So in reality, that's kind of a win, right?
It's a start.
Growth.
But you still bought Holy Roller, so it kind of evens out.
At least I haven't read it yet. It has a chance to be good. Justice League Godzilla? What? C.W. Gordon, you've been around here long enough to know better than that. I don't buy books like that. Now, I am going to buy Avengers vs. Aliens, but that's different. That's Hickman.
You getting Black Panther versus Predator?
No. No. I will not be buying the endless Predator tie-ins. I need you to get either you got to give me a super hot creative team, which I certainly consider Hickman and oh my god, they did Secret Wars together. Why am I blanking? Ribic.
Assad Ribic.
I consider that to be probably one of the top 5 creative teams you could assemble right now.
What if Black
So
Panther versus Predator is essentially Kendrick versus Drake? You can guess who's who.
you interrupted me for that?
Yeah, Predator joke.
Right.
Oh, I get it.
Right. The collector side lost. This is that recovery arc I was talking about last week. Yes, Columbo. You guys are helping me. You guys are
Gavin.
helping.
Gavin. Hey, I drew one of those endless tie-ins.
Well, your part was good. Hey, I'm happy you got paid, brother. And you are very talented. So your part was good.
That reminds me of like, but Black Dynamite, I sell drugs to the community.
Avengers vs. Ultraman. That's right. That was announced.
Nope, I will not be getting it for the same reason. I hate that type of book, and Ultraman does not make sense in the Marvel universe. Period.
Is there
I
a
like that. I like that Marvel's publishing him, but he doesn't belong there.
is there a versus that would work for you?
Like in general?
Yeah, like a weird IP versus that you'd be like, oh, that kind of speaks to me. I gotta have to.
The only ones that make sense to me have probably exist already. So I would say Power Rangers and Ninja Turtles makes sense. I'm not gonna read it, but it makes sense. And Ninja Turtles and Ghostbusters.
None of those are comic book or big two characters either.
To me, the big two shouldn't be crossing over with anything.
Generally, I agree with that. I think I've become more open to that kind of thing over the years. I guess Marvel specifically has softened me. But DC has too, because they did a lot of great stuff with the Batman Elmer Fudd issue during Tom by Tom was awesome. But largely I need to be sold. I'm never going to be able to come up with an ideal pairing because I just don't really think that that's the way things are or the way things should be. But if it's good regardless. So I got to see the value in the book by it being good.
Yeah. Tilo says Ultraman, I assume. Ultraman is fighting Fin Fang Foom on one of the covers. Look, you can get on YouTube and watch an Ultraman episode, and he's fighting Fin Fang Foom on any episode.
Fair. All right. We're going to call it. Thank you guys for hanging out with us this week for Pals Pulls. Really appreciate you guys showing up. It's awesome that you guys come for this. Make sure that you hang out with us on Saturday at 10:15 a.m. Eastern for the main show. We're going to be talking about the state of DC Comics and going over the last couple of years of storytelling and what they've been up to and how it all kind of leads into absolute power and whether we're happy with what DC has been serving as of late. So we've got a lot to talk about on that front and a lot of other things. You guys know we like to have fun on Saturday mornings. Thank you to everybody that hung out with us tonight. We appreciate you. We love you. We will see you in the future.